Yeah, God.
KDK Prank Radio.
It doesn't.
Good luck, KDK.
A good Catholic is a Catholic in the model of Jesus Christ, a revolutionary, someone who's not afraid to get up and speak the truth. Remember, the only time Christ ever got angry was when he went to church.
You're a piece of shit. Once you realize you're a piece of shit, it's not so hard to take. Because then you don't have this feeling that you're a good person all the time. And let me tell you something. Feeling that you're a good person all the time is like having a brand new car with no scratches on it. It's a real responsibility which is almost impossible to live up to. Being a piece of shit and then occasionally doing something that's good and true, it's a much easier place to be.
You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to
KDK's Lunatic Fringe.
All systems go! Prepare for countdown! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off to adventure in the amazing year 400 million!
I can't breathe. Stop.
Where is KDK?
Here I am. It's 10:07 on the PM, Saturday, 12/6/2008. Thank you for listening. This is my first time being back for reals in quite a while, so I'm amazed that anybody at all showed up in the first place. There's a couple shows that didn't go well because I got tanked on the air and sort of just either found other things to do or passed out or went off to go make some food or whatever. But I'm here tonight to be here with you. I promised. I wanted to go on the air last week and I couldn't because I was having problems with my Winamp. Because it turns out the software that I use to broadcast is incompatible with newer versions of Winamp. So anytime I played anything, the first track would play fine, and then as soon as I tried to go to something else, it would crash. And that actually happened on the air a couple times. You just hear it go to dead air, and you don't know what happened because I can't come back and say what happened or just didn't bother. But that was my problem. But I went to, I think it's like oldversion.com, and I downloaded an old version of Winamp, and I reinstalled that. And it works, and everything came back. All my SAM settings were still there, so they didn't get lost, which is good, because I can't remember my password to get into my own stream anymore, because I probably came up with some fucked up word I thought I'd never forgot it the following day. But I'm here with you now, and that's the important part. I'm sober. That's also an important part, so we know I'm not going to go pass out on the couch while the show is running in the background during a music break or something. I have some new prank calls that I can play. I have some funny stories that I can tell, and if you guys have any good names, numbers, and ideas for prank calls, I have an international phone card, and I'll do that for you. So I feel kind of rusty because it's been several months now that I haven't done prank calls. It's not like I do them off the air in my spare time, like in the afternoon. I feel like making a prank call. Let's call up someone. No, that doesn't happen. The only time I do prank calls is when I'm on the air here. So, I haven't done prank calls in several months. I'm probably very rusty, probably going to suck at it, but the only way to get back into the swing of things is to get back into it, right? Just jump in feet first, I guess. So, other than that, like I said, I have some new prank calls from Mr. Blonde that I can play, and I don't know why I feel I always have to say it that way. Mr. Blonde. He is British, but even if I didn't know that, I would still call him Mr. Blonde. I have some new calls from Mr. Blonde that are going to be going up on the site tomorrow, so you have that to look forward to, but I'll be world premiering them tonight, so as far as I know, only he and his friends and me, myself, have heard them, so we can listen to them. Actually, no, most of them I haven't even heard yet, so I don't know if they suck, so we can premiere them on the air and then critique them afterwards. I probably shouldn't do that, because that'll discourage people from sending me stuff if I'm going to critique it on the air, but let me light my cigarette here. As you can hear, you could probably hear that my voice is a little off because I'm getting over a cold and I'm very verklempt. I had like a head cold and I still feel all clogged up inside. Every once in a while I get like head cold so bad that it clogs up my sinuses so bad that I can't hear anymore. I had last time it happened was around the time I was on the Stern Show, like 2 years ago. So it was probably like 2 years ago in October. And I went to a doctor to find out what the problem is, and his answer was to buy this product. It's like a little bottle that comes with like little packets of sea salt and other types of chemicals or medicines. You mix, you put warm water in the bottle, and you put the packet in there, and then you shoot it up your nose and rinse out your sinuses. The most uncomfortable thing in the fucking world. But that's what I have to do. That's why I can hear right now, because earlier tonight I did a sinus rinse where I stuck a bottle up my nose and swished out my sinuses with the sea salt water. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be able to hear myself through my headphones right now like I can. And tomorrow, after I wake up, I'll probably have to do it again, because every time, sometimes even if I'm on the toilet, I like to read on the toilet. Sometimes if I put my head vertical, like reading for a while, or that would be horizontal, right? Because my head is normally vertical, right? So if I put my head horizontal, like I'm reading like a magazine when I'm on the toilet, like the fluids will just clog up my ear canal or something, and I'll walk out of the bathroom with like half the hearing that I had when I went in. It's amazing. But enough of my fucked up medical problems. If anybody would like to call in tonight, I'll give out the call-in number right away in case anybody wants to call. It's toll-free. The number is 1-877-651-3278. That's 1-877-651-3278. That'll forward to my cell phone, and I can put you live on the air here with me if you would like to talk. And also you can contact me on AIM as KDK Pranks on AIM. And even off the air, if you have prank calls or something that you want to send me, or a question you want to ask, or you want to tell me how great I am. Pardon me while I like stifle a belch on the air. Did you even notice that? Like I like swallowed a belch there in mid-sentence. I don't know why I felt like I needed to swallow it. I should have just let it out. I'm trying to be professional here. This is professional radio, right? Yeah. I'm sitting here in my sweatpants in my house, in my living room, pretending I'm doing real radio. And oh, look, Lonesome Loser's already here and sending me numbers. That's good. That's good. Last night I had said that I don't feel like doing prank calls tonight, but I'm in a good mood right now, and I always think, like, every time it comes to me doing prank calls when I have a cold, I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't do it, because this is going to be a call forever where, like, the voices that I do are going to sound off or not right, you know? Like, if you ever watch a cartoon and there's, like, an episode where the voices sound all off because you can tell the voice actor guy has a cold. So that's how I feel right now. Actually, I feel like I have a little more bass. That's funny. My voice cracks on saying the word bass. That sort of disproves my point. But otherwise, I feel as though my voice has a little more bass to it, like when I have a cold. Probably sounds better. Also tonight, we have to look forward to, I have the audio of me giving the cats a bath, which had me laughing hysterically earlier today when I was isolating the clips. And here's just, I'll just play like a little teaser right now. Although it sounds like I'm drowning the cat, he's fine. I love that clip. If I ever had a production company, you know how like MGM has like the lion that roars, or like Ubu has sit, Ubu sit, or Robot Chicken has stupid monkey. This will be like my sound clip. And then like a cartoon of a cat drowning in the background or something. And I know I've told this story on the air, but I was probably half in the bag and don't remember telling the story and probably told it half-assed. And now I actually have the audio to back it up, so I'll tell the story again. The cats recently became infested with fleas. I don't know how, because they're indoor cats and they never go outside, so I don't know where they're going to get fleas from. My worst thought is that they caught fleas from me, because a couple of days before I had gone hiking with a hookup, and that would be the only exposure I would have with, like, the types of places where you would find fleas. My other theory is that they came from my drug dealer, who has a filthy, dirty dog. The guy is like 30 years old, lives in his parents' basement, has like a smelly dog in like a one-room apartment in the basement, and is probably dirty. You know, dogs are dirty, filthy, smelly animals, and his dog probably has fleas. And he came over here because we're talking a couple weeks ago, so that would be the last time that I smoked weed. I bought a very small amount of weed because I didn't want to be stoned for months on end. And he came over to hook me up, and he's one of those drug dealers that doesn't just, like, give you the stuff and leave because he's fucking lonely and he has no friends, and he's like the world's biggest loser drug dealer. Like, if the world's biggest loser became a drug dealer, this is this guy. Like, his only outlet for, like, fake friends is by being a drug dealer. So he comes over and he wants to hang out and he wants to talk, and he's telling me, like, dumb stories, and I don't want to offend the guy for fear that he might not ever sell to me again if I ever want to buy from him again. So you got to be nice and you got to put up with him, and so I ought to set the camera and turn it on next time he comes over and record him, because he's a really strange guy. He could be a good character. Not dangerous at all, not like a dangerous type of drug dealer that would, like, kill me if he knew that he was on camera, but he's a relatively normal, sedate. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised he doesn't get beat up and get his drugs stolen all the time, because he doesn't have any weapons and he's really wimpy and non-intimidating. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know where the cats got fleas from, but it happened sort of overnight. Like, one day it was fine, and then the following day, it must be that all the eggs hatched or something, because there was an outbreak in the house where it was so bad that they were living in the carpet, and on the cats, of course. It got so bad that if I walked from my computer chair to the bathroom and came back, I could look at my socks and literally see, like, fleas, like, on my socks, like 2 or 3 fleas on my socks. And I hate bugs. All bugs. People say that, oh, ladybugs are cute. I don't care. It's a bug. I hate them. You know, if I could rub like a genie lamp and have 3 wishes, one of my wishes might be that organic matter just poof disappeared, so we have no use for bugs and they could all be extinct. Like, no bugs in the world. So I went ape shit, and I went to Walmart, and I bought all sorts of foggers and flea powder and flea shampoo, and I had to come up with a plan of attack. Like, how are you going to... You have to flea bomb the house, but I don't want to spend the night in a hotel. I don't want to pay for a hotel. I don't want to bring the cats to a fucking hotel. I don't want to bring the cats to the vet for a flea dip, because that's really expensive, but I'm trying to do it in, like, a ghetto kind of way. And I'm sort of embarrassed to admit that, like, I have fleas. I'm embarrassed to talk about it right now, like, I had fleas. Sort of like talking about having crabs. Not that I've ever had crabs, but same sort of thing. It implies that you're filthy dirty if you have fleas in your house, and obviously I don't want anybody over here if I have fleas in my house. So I came up with the only plan of attack I could do is there's pretty much like 2 sections of the house that I can wall off. I have a bedroom that's like, I have a huge bedroom that is the size of the rest of the house, the kitchen, living room, and bathroom. So I can bomb one half of the house and keep everybody in the other half, and then vice versa. So that's what I had to do. First plan of attack, I had to bomb the bedroom. So I lay out the flea bombs and I bomb the bedroom. Now the bedroom is clean, right? There's no fleas because the mist goes into the air and it settles over everything and it'll kill everything. And it goes into all the cracks and crevices if you use enough of it, and takes care of the problem in there. And then, one by one, I have to wash the cats, who've never had a bath before. None of them has ever had a bath before, because cats are clean animals. There's no reason to give a cat a bath. It's not like a dog where you pet it and then your hand smells. Cats naturally groom themselves and keep themselves very neat and tidy and clean. So they've never had a bath before, and I know it's going to be a traumatic experience. I know there's going to be a lot of crying and scratching. I was expecting totally to get ripped apart, but I thought it would be funny. So I set up the video camera, in the bathroom, and I couldn't get a good angle like down at the bathtub because I would have had to like tilt the camera up on a shelf or something to be able to get. And I'm not going to hold the camera obviously while I'm trying to bathe the cat because you're going to need both your hands. So I just set the camera on the sink and I said, we'll have to do with the audio, which will be funny enough. It would have been 10 times funnier to see the cats, but Sebastian was the first to go. Well, my plan was to wash the cats one by one, towel them off, and then throw them in the bedroom, which has already been bombed, so it's clean of fleas, so they're not going to get reinfested. And then once every cat is clean, lock myself in the bedroom, tuck a towel under the door, and bomb the rest of the house. So that's what I did. But first, I had to give each and every cat a bath, and I lost the audio of giving Gussie a bath because I had paused. It was Sebastian. No, it was Julian. I missed. I did Sebastian first because I figured he would take it the best, and I did Gussie the last because she's the kitten, and I figured she would spaz the worst. And I was right. She clawed me in the fucking jugular vein. Oof. But I missed the audio of Julian because I had paused the camera between Sebastian and Julian, so I missed it. But I have Sebastian and Gussie getting their first bath. The only audio I have ready for tonight is Sebastian, but maybe next week we can do Gussie. But here you go. I'll do some commentary. I'll do some running commentary as I play this. But this is Sebastian's first bath. You're okay. Good boy. Wow, I can't believe you took that so well. Now there's about 1.5 inches of warm water in the tub. And I put him down in the water, and he was fine. He sat there, he looked around, he didn't spaz, he didn't meow, he didn't freak. He was totally cool with having his legs like half in water. Which I was sort of expecting, because when Sebastian was a kitten, I was sort of trying to train him to get used to water, and I had gotten him to the point where if I put like 1/2 inch of water in the bathtub and threw a toy in there, he would go in and splash around and play with the toy. But that was when he was a kitten. Now the part where he's going to spaz is the part where I have to start splashing water and get his body wet. What a good boy! Oh. And you'll notice I'm trying to talk to them in like a comforting tone, like while I'm bathing them, so that they don't like I'm hoping I can calm and soothe them with my voice. Don't cry. Oh, no, we can't jump out yet. I'm trying to take it slow for you. Oh, it's okay, big guy. I'm trying to get you wet. I'm sorry. You'll be happy once you don't have fleas no more. Oh, stop. There's the shampoo. It's okay, big guy. You're a good boy. You're okay. You're fine. You're a good boy. Oh, now the other cats are crying outside the door because they're worried about you. See, your brothers and sisters are worried about you. That was sort of cute. As soon as Sebastian started crying, like the other cats showed up at the closed bathroom door, and I see like paws coming under the door, and they're crying like they want to come in and save him because he's putting out a death yell, you know? It smells good. It smells like grape or something. Don't go nowhere. We need more shampoo. Don't go nowhere. No, don't go nowhere. No. It's okay, big guy. You're going to feel so much better without fleas. Stop. You know, you're going to stay loud enough for 5 minutes, too. It's okay. The water's nice and warm. You're going to get your whole body. Because the fleas are going to try to hide in places that don't have any. You ever notice that the cats have a meow that they only use like in cases like this where they're in water or they're in mortal terror? They have like a different pitch and tone of meow, which is like the death rattle, the extreme call for help. Shampoo. You're being a good boy. You haven't scratched me once. You gotta tell me between your legs though. Just take your paw pits. In the paws. It's okay. You gotta get your hand. No. Stop. I don't need to take a bath. I'll take one after you because you're taking me, please.
Oh, stop! No. Come on. It's okay. This has to go on for 5 minutes if it's going to kill you, big guy.
It said on the bottle that you're supposed to leave the suds on the cat for 5 minutes, and I'm like, what cat is going to sit there for 5 minutes, all lathered up, covered in soap, and dripping wet? But luckily, it didn't really have. The shampoo is a lot stronger than they think, because just dead fleas were just like falling out as I'm like scrubbing them down.
And I still got to rinse you off. Stop. Oh, I'm already so. It's okay. Thank you for not scratching me.
And of course, if you're a flea and something is like some catastrophe is trying to happen, then you're gonna try to find like the one place that's not wet. So that means the fleas are gonna hide like on the head and in the ears and on the neck. So you pretty much have to like almost submerge the cat and like wash every part.
Love you. I'm sorry, I gotta do this.
And I felt so guilty doing it. I felt like a bad parent, like beating his children or something.
See, it's okay. It feels kind of good, actually, doesn't it? Good boy.
See, this part he was actually digging because I'm like using my nails and I'm like scrubbing his fur, and to him it's probably like getting a good deep massage.
I'm gonna let you can't get your butthole. I'm not being a pervert, just trying to kill your feet. You're okay. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get your head.
The other meow that you hear is Gussie outside the door, by the way. Julian couldn't care less. He never left the window. But Gussie was very concerned.
True, big guy. There's a flea right there on your face, see? Oh no, that's a really, you got a really bad scratch in your face. Who scratched you with that bad?
Yeah, as I'm washing the cats, I noticed that he had like a big gash on his nose. So there must have been like some cat brawl that happened while I wasn't home.
Okay. Oh. Stop! The neighbor's gonna call the police and I kill him. Stop.
This happened about 7 o'clock at night, and the walls in the condo are pretty thin. So the neighbors are hearing this going on. And the splashing probably isn't loud enough for them to hear. All they hear is the cat moaning like I'm fucking it in the ass or something.
Stop. You don't want me to turn the shower on. Trust me, you don't want me to turn the shower on. Oh, stop! Bastard! It's okay. Oh, stop it! This is... You got me, you bitch!
That's where he got me in the wrist. Like right in the vein on the wrist. Like right in the tender part of your wrist. And the claw was like stuck in, so I had to like grab his toe and peel his claw out of me.
Ow! Ow! Let go! Ow! Ow! Ah! Let go of my shirt! Let go! Let's get the over back.
See, now I'm trying to get it over with fast because I don't want to get fucked up anymore by the cat because he's already drawn blood on me. And I'm trying to get it over with fast. So I'm just like splashing him furiously while he's meowing away. So, of course, the inevitable happens. And I splash him right in the mouth. He gets a mouthful of, like, sudsy flea shampoo water. And there it is. There's the meow gurgle. I'll play it again afterwards.
Hurry, I got soap in your mouth. I heard that gurgle. Okay, stop. Chill. Chill. Now comes the easy part. There you go.
Now hold still and I'll towel you off. And then this part he liked. Like the whole toweling off part, he started to purr. Hold still and I can towel you off. Yeah, that wasn't so bad. Yeah, now you like this part, huh? And I'm going to turn the heat on nice and hot because you're all wet now. But you're clean. Oh, isn't that sweet? You can hear me kissing the cat at the end. But here's the meow gurgle. I isolated it as a separate sound clip because I love it so much. I love that. The meow gurgle gets me every time. I'm telling you, if I ever have a production company, that's going to be my theme sound, I guess you would call it. So that's part one of the cat bath thing. I don't want to go on too long with the cat bath thing, so we can do part two next week when Gussie gets her bath, and it's a lot more violent and a lot louder. Gussie does not like water. And let me check my IMs coming in here. Zolar says, ew, ladybug, we got to get you a man bug. Yeah, he got me. Zolar says he got you. Yeah, I had 2 wounds when it was all said and done. I had 2 wounds. Gussie got me in the neck, and Sebastian got me in the wrist. And Julian took it surprisingly well. He probably took it the best of all 3 of them, but he's the most timid cat anyway, so I should have expected that. I thought Sebastian would be better with water because he has some experience with water, but he doesn't like being fully wet. His paws being wet, I guess he's okay with, but he doesn't like being fully wet. And we have numbers coming in from Lonesome Loser. Let me scroll up to the top and see what we got here. Amanda and Kyle are selling a Nintendo DS Lite with games and accessories for $175. This is their ad. Brand new, only played with once. Nintendo DS Lite for sale. Comes with 2 games, Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario 64. Wouldn't Super Mario 64 be for the Nintendo 64? Anyway, it also comes with accessories including card charger, wall charger, DS carrying case, game carrying case, headphones, extra pen, and all of the manuals for the game system and games. Photos of everything below, asking $175 or best offer. That's kind of steep because a DS retails for around that price. So that's kind of steep, even if they claim it's only been played with once. A woman answered at $9.35. There you go. He doesn't say what type of woman, so let's assume it's a middle-aged Caucasian woman. Coral is selling an iPhone 8 GB, no contract, $295. Sale includes as follows: iPhone box, anti-glare screen protector, stereo headphone with microphone, dock, and everything else. A woman answered at $9.45. Emma Downey is selling a slot machine. I bought this from a friend to help him out. Now I want it out of my way. It lights and it takes tokens. I really need 150 out of it, thank you. A guy answered at $9.51. Joe Campbell is selling a 1987. Wow. He wants $2,000 for a 21-year-old Suburban. Damn. These people are selling a Hot Wheels collection. I have collected Hot Wheels for years, and am ready to get rid of my collection. I have hundreds of them, all in their original packaging. The prices vary depending on the Hot Wheel, and I would consider a price for the entire collection if it was worthy of it. What a dick. And a woman answered, these people are selling a very rare Kettler Dale Earnhardt Oreo pedal car, whatever that means. This is a Dale Earnhardt Oreo pedal car made by the Kettler company. Body is made of hard plastic and frame is metal tubing. These were put out in 2001 at local stores as promotional displays for Dale's Oreo sponsored car and the Blood Shootout, and yada yada. Wow, that goes on forever and ever. let me go back. It goes on so long that it must be interesting, right? Let me go back and see. These were pulled immediately after Dale's untimely death. I also heard that they destroyed all the cars they were able to retrieve, leaving approximately 25 that they were not able to get back. I have located the owners of 3 so far. According to an Oriole rep, back in 2001, they had ordered 1 container from the Kettler company in Germany. Someone asked NASCAR.com about one, but could not get an answer on value of the pedal car since they were so rare. This pedal car has always been displayed and has never been played with. It is in excellent condition and would make an excellent addition to any collection. Okay, I guess I didn't need to go back and read that. Dale Eisenhower is selling 8 bank rolls of BU uncirculated westward journey nickels for $35. Mr. Ortega is offering a $1 reward for the return of his shirt and shoes that were stolen out of his truck at a college football game. I could call him up and be like, yeah, I have the shirt. You're going to have to pony up much more than $1 to get this back. I like this shirt. It fits me well. Let me read this story on this one. I had 2 pair of shoes and an OSU sweatshirt stolen out of the back of my truck at the OSU-OU football game. I could care less about the shoes as they were really old and dirty, but the sweatshirt had a lot of sentimental value to me and my wife. How does a sweatshirt have sentimental value? To you and your wife. The whole family loved that sweatshirt. I wore it on our first date together. They were taken out of the back of my truck during the game when someone opened the cover up on my truck and took the bag that they were in. I don't care who took it or even why they took it. I would just like to have the shirt back. No questions asked, no names or anything. I just want the shirt. It is a white hooded OSU sweatshirt. The neck has been cut down the middle to make it larger. That means he's a fat guy. And the front pocket is halfway ripped off from the left top. You got to feel bad if you're the guy who stole this stuff, because you took the risk of stealing stuff out of the bed of this guy's truck, and all you got was like 2 ratty old pairs of sneakers and falling apart hoodie. It is a white hooded sweatshirt. The neck has been cut down the middle to make it larger, and the front pocket is halfway ripped off from the top left side to the middle, and the shirt is stained. So I said it's not like it is worth anything to anyone else. It's just special to me and my wife. If anyone out there knows anything about the shirt, oh, yada yada, okay. Okay, so that's what we have coming in. Zolar says, next door they think I'm killing the cat, and you're probably exactly right. If I heard it, that's exactly what I would think. That would be my first thought, like somebody's microwaving a cat or something. But it had to be done, and the good news is that the flea infestation is over. I've been looking, and I haven't seen a single flea since the incident happened. Between the fogging and the cat baths, I think I solved the problem. I washed all 3 cats. I threw them all in the bedroom that had already been bombed. I came out into the living room, and I set off all the bombs, and then I had forgotten my cigarettes out here, so I had to like run through the mist, like holding my breath so I'm not breathing in the fumes, to like come get my cigarettes and run back to the bedroom. And I actually did get like a whiff or 2 of the fumes, but it doesn't seem to have hurt me any more than I already have been in my life, right? Pardon me while I take a sip of lemonade here. Tonight's show is brought to us by sugar-free Crystal Light lemonade. Yay. Delicious, huh? Delicious and exciting. The new news is sending me numbers for UK people, I guess. Are these UK people? No, they're not UK people. He sends me the number for Gloria Mann. She is in charge of archives for the Alabama Daughters of the Confederacy. He wants me to fuck with the racists again. Dumb-sounding old guy answered, but could hear old woman in the background. I love like the inside info that people give me, like that they gleaned from confirming their numbers. Pardon me while I light a cigarette here. My last remaining vice in the world is cigarettes, and one of the things that keeps me from wanting to quit cigarettes is they always say if you quit smoking, you gain weight because smoking raises your metabolism so that you burn more calories. So all you fat people out there, start smoking. But anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about tonight, I have an important revelation to make about myself, which should probably come as no surprise to much of anyone. But I'm coming out of the closet. I know you're saying to yourself, what are you talking about? For years you've been saying that you're bisexual. Well, now I'm coming out of the closet, and I'm saying I'm not bisexual. I think I'm just gay. For years I've been confused because I always figure, you know, if the apparatus works when you're with a woman, that means that you must not be gay, because somebody who's gay wouldn't be able to get a boner or be attracted or have sex with a woman. But when you're my age, you could pretty much fuck anything. You could get it up and fuck anything. You could fuck a hole in the wall. You could fuck a sock. You could fuck pillows. You can get it up for pretty much anything. So just the fact that you can get it up and maintain and perform doesn't necessarily mean that you're bisexual, because when it comes down to it, if I had my druthers, I'd much rather be with a guy than with a woman. So I guess I'm coming out of the closet and finally admitting to myself and everybody out there listening that I am indeed gay, and I'm really. So I can appreciate the female form, but I don't have the desire to have sex with it. If I had to or were expected to, I could, but that doesn't make me, you know, bisexual. That's not straight, you know. I used to say I think everybody in the world is bisexual, but actually I think I was just confused in my own damn self. So there you go. There's my huge revelation. Probably not surprising to anybody, especially not me. And I came to this realization after the recent, okay, I'll get a little honest here. I've been a little not myself lately. For the past couple months, probably, the past 2 or 3 months. I've been out of work. I have no money coming in. I have money in the bank, so I don't really have to worry about being homeless. But I have a lot of time on my hands, and I filled up a lot of that time with doing a lot of whoring around with men and women. And I've noticed that having sex with a woman is sort of like going through the motions, you know. It's more, for me, it's more about trying to please the other person and trying to have pleasure myself when I'm with a woman. So that's what makes me think that, or maybe I am bisexual, who knows. I've talked to gay guys who said they're completely disgusted by women. Like, the thought of a woman naked or the sight of a woman naked would immediately make them go limp, and that's not me. I don't see how anybody couldn't appreciate a hot female body, but the difference between me, I guess, and a real straight guy is a straight guy can be attracted to an ugly woman. I'm really only attracted to beautiful women. It has to be like a perfect woman. She has to be in perfect shape. Her tits have to be perfect. Her ass has to be perfect. Otherwise, I'm not interested, you know. Whereas when it comes to a guy, he can be a little bit overweight, and I'd still be attracted, or a little bit ugly and has a good body, and I'd still be attracted. I don't know. Sexuality is a very complicated thing, I guess. Anyway, you guys don't want to hear me talk about sexuality, so why not call in and change the subject? Change the uncomfortable subject by calling 1-877-651-3278. Again, that's 1-877-651-FART, F-A-R-T. And it's totally free, toll-free call. You can call in and be live on the air with me, and pardon me while I belch on the air. I don't know what the hell I drank that would make me belch. Actually, that one tasted like the tacos I had earlier today. Tacos are making me belch. I haven't had anything carbonated all day, except for a Monster Energy that I had, like, this morning. Zolar says you're gay. Don't say it's true. I don't get it. I don't get it. Don't say what's true. Maybe you mean say it ain't so. But yeah, lately I've been doing a lot of floozing around, a lot of sleeping around, a lot of partying, a lot of going out to expensive dinners and going out on expensive dates and enjoying life, pretty much. I've been a very happy person, perhaps too happy lately. Luckily, I haven't gotten involved with drugs, but I really did get way in over my head with alcohol, because there was a good couple weeks there where I was drunk like every night. And I realized I was out of control and had to take a step back from myself and come back down as they would say in the Toad the Wet Sprocket song. Maybe I should play that song during the next break. But I realized it was time to take inventory of my life, realize where I was going and what I wanted, and what I should do next. And one of the things I've done recently that I'm not proud of is I went to my first sex party, my first and hopefully only sex party. I was invited to a gay sex party, and I showed up there. It was like 9 o'clock at night, so it's dark, and it was at a house that was in South Kent, Connecticut, which is the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and it was up like a one-lane dirt road, and I showed up there not knowing what to expect, and I realize now that I'm sort of a prudish kind of person, because these people were obviously a lot freer than I was. And I showed up there, and a guy answered the door, an attractive guy. He answers the door, and he says, "Oh, we started without you," because I was a little late. I had a little trouble finding the place, and as soon as I walked in, the guy is like helping me off with my clothes, and I'm like, okay, this is how it goes. And he walks me into the bedroom after taking off my hoodie. This will be an important point later on. Takes off my hoodie and like puts it in the foyer. Very nice house, actually. They're very wealthy guys were hosting the party. And if I were smarter, I would have like expected money. I would have prostituted myself. But I'm not really in desperate need of money that badly. So I walked in, and he leads me into the bedroom where there's I walk into the bedroom, and there's two people already in the bedroom. One guy's blowing another guy just like in the middle of the room. So he says, this guy's name is whatever, I forget the name. Let's say this guy's name is Eric. And we already got him a little high. And Eric like looks up from blowing the other guy, and he had the most insane, crazy, psychotic, fucked up, drugged out eyes that I've ever seen. And I've seen lots of episodes of Cops. This guy's eyes were fucked up like he had done 20 hits of acid. Like super wide, giant pupils. The look of insanity was on his face. He was that fucked up on drugs. And I said to the guy, he says, we got him a little high already, and I'm like, on what? And he's like, well, we got a little coke. He's like rattling off like a laundry list of drugs that they have. He's like, we got poppers, we got drugs, we got this, we got that. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. Not that I frown upon drug use that badly, but I've never had a drug problem. I've always been a non-addictive kind of person. But I didn't trust myself to do drugs in the presence of these strangers, because who knows what the fuck they were going to want to do to me. Who knows what the fuck I would allow them to do. So I was immediately like put on guard by that they had gotten this guy so fucked up that he looked like that. He was an attractive guy, but he looked like he had done like a million lines of coke or something. He looked like he was like on the verge of a heart attack. I've never seen such insanity in anybody's eyes, and I live next door to Crazy Dave, so that ought to say something. And he's helping me off with my clothes, so I throw my clothes on the chair, and I'm nervous about being naked because it's not often that I'm naked in front of a group of people. And I sit down on the bed, and I'm just waiting for something to happen. I had already resigned myself. I'm not doing anything to anybody else. I'm not blowing anybody here. And nobody's going to fuck me. So at best, maybe a couple of guys are going to blow me. Maybe I'll put on the condom and fuck somebody, and then I'm out of here. Because I was, like, creeped out. I probably should have left right away, but like I said, I was a little out of my head for a little while. So I sit down on the bed, and one guy starts blowing me, and everybody's like, oh, you have the greatest cock, you have the best cock, and everybody's like marveling at my cock, and I'm like, what's so great about my dick? I only have like a little 6-incher. And there are guys there with bigger cocks. There were 3 guys there at this point, and a 4th ended up coming in later on. And I'm just sitting on the bed, and I'm watching other things that are going down, and feeling judgmental over other people, thinking I'm better than these people because I'm not this far gone, and I'm not this. What's a good word for it? What's a good negative sounding word for it? I'm not this slutty, I guess. I guess the fact that I was there in the first place proves that I am kind of slutty. But anyway, so I'm on the bed, and guys are taking turns blowing me, and I figured that there's not a whole lot of risk of disease as long as they don't have herpes. There's not a whole lot of risk of disease as long as I don't fuck anybody without a condom. If they're blowing me, then at most they're putting themselves at risk if I were to have a disease. So a couple of different guys blew me, and they're all. I don't know why everybody was so hot over me, because I think I'm the ugliest guy in the world. But I'm in good shape. I have a nice body now, since I've been working out for so long, and I'm toned and muscular, swimmer's build, that whole thing. Nipple piercing and tattoo, that was a turn on to a couple of them. And as the night went on, I was feeling I say as the night went on, I was only there for probably about an hour before I left. But at one point, one of the guys says, "I'd like to see you fuck him," the hottest guy in the room. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I put on the condom and I fucked the guy. And I must admit I have a lot of practice, so I'm pretty good at fucking. So he had a great time, and everybody else, the whole room stopped and was just staring at me fucking this guy, and that made me kind of creeped out and uncomfortable. But I plowed through, trooper that I am. Pardon me while I take a sip of my lemonade. I plowed through and troopered on, and took off the condom, went to the bathroom, washed off my dick, and left. As soon as I came, I wanted to get out of there because I was creeped out by these people, even though I know I'm no better than they are, because I was there for the same reason as they were, except that they were a little more free than I was. And I left, and I'm driving away, and I get 10 minutes away, then I realize, fuck! I forgot my hoodie in the foyer. So I had to go back and knock on the door, and a naked guy answered. And they're trying to convince me to stay, and I'm like, well, I'm done. And I considered, as I was driving away, I considered just leaving the hoodie behind, because I'm like, yeah, it's my favorite hoodie, and it's a $50 hoodie, and it's a nice designer thing, but I could give it up, not to have to put myself through the shame and humiliation of going back in there, except that my wallet was in the pocket, so I had to go back, because I had my credit cards and cash in there. So I had to go back, and I had to get my hoodie, and they tried to convince me to stay, and I said, no, I'm out of here, and I got out of there. And when I left the first time, I noticed that the guy who came in after me parked literally an inch from my car. I couldn't get in on the driver's side door. I had to climb in the passenger side because he had parked so close to me. And as soon as I got near a street light where I can have a good look at my car, I had to pull over and look and make sure that this asshole didn't hit my car because he had come so close. Luckily he didn't. But yeah, that's my experience with my first sex party. The traumatic experience with it, my first sex party there, and I don't think I'll be going to any more. Because I realized very quickly that that's not my kind of scene. Aside from the drugs and the wild abandon that's happening, it's just not for me. So there's a nice little gross story. Hopefully everybody's probably tuned down now, oh, he's telling the gayest story he's ever told on the air right now. Let me check my aim and see what people are saying. Chris Knife is saying, I'm forcing my homophobic roommate to listen to you talk about your gay exploits while he watches football with his friend. Watching football, that's very Bush. And Zolar's asking for the number. I gave the number out, but I'm going to type it to him just so he can call in. It's 877-651-3278, which spells out F-A-R-T, fart, for fart steam, which is where you're listening to me right now, in case you didn't know. So let me send that to Zolar if he wants to call in. And in the meantime, pardon me, how unprofessional. How unprofessional to cough directly into the mic. That's the biggest faux pas in radio, to be coughing directly into the mic like that, but who cares? It's internet radio. I'm sitting here in my underwear and nothing matters. Like I was saying, I have these new calls from Mr. Blonde that are hopefully going to go up on the site tomorrow if I have time to do the update, because I know it's going to be a big, long update, because the site is so huge right now that every time I add like a little bit of content, it involves updating like several different pages, and then the front page, and then putting up a new banner and all. You know, it's just a whole involved process. But hopefully I'll get it done tomorrow after church, right? Because I'm going to be at church. Yeah, and if you believe that one, I'll tell you about the time I was abducted by aliens. Anyway, I have these new calls from Mr. Blonde that I haven't heard yet, but I want a world premiere tonight. I don't know if they suck, but I would assume that Mr. Blonde wouldn't have sent them to me if they weren't any good. The first one I'll play is Mr. Blonde Calls a Whorehouse.
Hello.
Oh, hello. How are you doing?
Hello, who is this?
This is John.
Who?
John.
John?
Yes.
John who?
John McCormack.
McCormack, who do you want to speak to?
The owner of the house, actually. Sorry, I don't know who I called, actually, but I would like to have a word with the owner of the house.
Well, you can, but if you don't know who it is, why do you want to speak to him?
Well, I've been doing some looking up in my ancestry, and, well, it seems to me that my ancestors once lived in your house.
Oh, well, I'll let you speak to my husband.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, hello. How are you, sir?
I'm very well.
That's good to hear. Yes, I'm also doing quite well.
That's good.
Well, you never know. Yes, so I'll cut to the chase. I've been doing some ancestry, looking up in my family's history, and we've discovered that my great-great-aunt Meredith was a prostitute, and in fact that your home was a place of business. So we'd be very keen to come around and get a few photographs.
If your great-great-aunt Meredith was a prostitute, and she's your great-great-aunt, this house was built in 1952, and that makes her, she's still living, so I doubt if there's something there.
Well, I'm 52 myself.
That's right, and if she's your great-great-aunt, and this was a place of business in 1952, I don't think the figures add up, do you? And I don't really want to buy any genealogy, thank you very much.
I'm not selling genealogy, I just wanted to come around and take a few pictures of the beds.
No, sorry. And goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.
Take a few pictures of the beds. Okay, that was good. That was mildly amusing. I can play a sound effect for that. But only for 4 seconds. There you go. So I'll play some other stuff from Mr. Blonde. He says the best one is the China one, which is a 9-minute call. So I'll save that for later, if I know which one that is. Hopefully the word China is in the title, so I can find it easily, maybe? Let me take a look and see. Or I can just figure out the 9-minute one. Chinaman calls Stewart. Yeah, okay. That one's only 1:43. That must not be the one he's talking about. Where's your fucking balls? That one's 4 minutes. Katie Kimmel and Fred Rogers make an inquiry. That's almost 9 minutes. That must be the one he's talking about. Okay, so I'll play that one later on in the program. But anyway, that was Mr. Blonde. All of the calls from Mr. Blonde that I'm playing tonight will be up on the site tomorrow, hopefully. If not, I'll get them up the following day or whenever I can, because I've been so busy with my sex parties, my sexy parties, and my everything else. But yeah, there you go. I'm giving out the number, but nobody's calling. I'm trying to put off. Maybe nobody's calling because they're hoping I'm going to go to the phones and make some prank calls. Maybe that's the problem. So let me go here and see who I can call. God, it's been so long since I've done a prank call. I feel as though Lonesome Loser's trying to send me an image. Let me accept that. Okay, Lonesome Loser, I accepted your image. So he's probably sending me a picture of somebody that he wants me to prank. He says, call up Vera Honeycutt, call up as Jill, pretending to be her old friend Claudie, who recently had a stroke. So these must be people that he knows in Oklahoma. Hey, now we know where Lonesome Loser lives. He lives in Oklahoma. And this might be family, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say Lonesome Loser's last name is Honeycutt. Pardon me while I take a sip of my sugar-free lemonade. I wish I could get over this cold. It's been like a week now, and I'm just getting over it now, but I can hear through the headphones and my voice still sounds like a little congested and off. But that's okay. Let me go ahead and play some dialing music, because tonight's featured artist is They Might Be Giants. Let me stick with them. For dialing music, I'll stick with the same album and play a Lucky Ball and Chain while I dial.
I lost my lucky ball and chain, now she's 4 years gone. 5 feet tall and sick of me, and all my rattling on. She threw away her baby doll, I held on to my pride, but I was young and foolish.
You know, I'm just realizing I haven't made prank calls with this new phone yet. I have a new cell phone that I haven't used for prank calls yet. Let's see how good it works. Make sure the volume is up all the way.
This car delivers 100% of minutes announced if used in a single call.
Okay, that'll work. It sounded halfway decent. About as good as it's likely to sound on a program like this, I guess.
Have sufficient funds to make this call.
Oh, shit.
Message 40.
You know what? I think this is one of those cards that charges you if you don't use the card, even if you don't use the card. Fuck, my phone card is dead. Well, let me tear that up. There was time left on there, but it's probably one of those fucking cards where they like take $1 out every week that you don't use it. Okay, well, I guess if you want me to make prank calls, you can donate a card, and I'll be more than happy to do some prank calls, but we don't have to. Well, some loser says he hit the image button by accident. He wasn't trying to send me a picture. I was hoping he was trying to send me Vera Honeycutt's picture. Nunu doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do your call. Lonesome Loser doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do any of your calls, unless somebody out there has a phone card that you can donate, because I'm unprepared tonight. I was thinking about not going on the air tonight because I knew my voice isn't back up to normal, but I thought it might cheer me up to come on the air, and it has. I feel better since I went on the air, and now I feel better. I feel uplifted, having gotten some stuff off my chest. But I have a... In the event that I didn't want to do prank calls tonight, I did make a list of funny stories that I could tell, like from throughout my life. I was hanging out with my old ex, drunk Bill, the other day, and he was sober, and we were talking about the sort of things that we used to do when we were kids and we used to hang out, and it got me to thinking about what a great movie it would be to like make a movie of the sort of shit that we used to pull when we were younger, because we were such little hellions back then. But I made a list of funny stories that I could tell, like not notes, like I would never take notes for this show, I'm just not that prepared, but I made like little one-sentence notes of reminders of stories that I could tell on the air, so I can regale you with stories of my past. We grew up in a town called New Fairfield, population of probably less than 1,000, maybe even less than 500. Very upscale community that's sort of set up sort of like the oblongs, where you have like one part of the town that's like incredibly wealthy, and another part of the town, the closer you get to the New York border, the poorer the homes get. And my parents lived a couple miles away from the border, so we weren't poor, but we were middle class. We weren't on the rich side of town, we weren't on the poor side of town. We lived in the middle, like the middle class. And it's a dry county. New Fairfield is a dry county. It doesn't have a single bar. And besides, we were too young anyway. And there's nothing to do, because most of the people living in this town when we were younger were elderly people who had retired there. And I don't know how they can afford to retire to such an expensive place, but they were retired there. And there weren't a whole lot of other kids in our neighborhood, our age. Actually, in our neighborhood, I can think. Come to think of it, Bill and I were the only people our age at that time in our neighborhood, like within close proximity. Bill lived about a mile away from my house. And since there's never anything to do, neither of us had our driver's licenses, and there's no teen center, there's no skate park, there's really nothing to do. What we would do is go out and cause trouble on purpose just to get a rise out of it, and that's probably in large part where my adult attitude comes from. Where, you know, I love to fuck with people. Sometimes I'll just act strange in front of strangers just to see how they'll react to me. And I think that comes from like my early upbringing and like boredom and the things that I used to do. My parents were very controlling, meaning that they used to want to control everybody I hung out with and every movement I made and keep track of where I was at all times, because I was the only begotten son, I was the end of the family line, and God forbid something should happen to me. God forbid I turn out gay, for that matter. But because of that, I used to have to sneak out. If I wanted to go out at night, I used to have to sneak out my bedroom window, which I used to be able to get away with because my parents were huge and hopeless alcoholics, and they would be passed out. So while they were passed out, as long as I didn't walk through the house and wake them up, I could go out and do whatever I want and come back whenever I want. And I lived on the ground floor in the house, so I could just hop out my window, go out and do what I want, hop back in later, and nobody knew I was gone, right? So there was this one night where Bill came knocking at my window, and he wants to go out and cause trouble, because that's the only thing to do in this town. Actually, no, this was in the afternoon. So this was a time where I didn't have to sneak out the window. I probably just told my mom I was going to go play in the Ozzy house or something like that. When I was a kid, I lived on a small pond called Ball Pond in New Fairfield, Connecticut. You can Google it and take a good look. Very small pond fed by an underground stream, and it's at that point, I'm not sure of the geography of the place, but let's just say that my parents lived on the North Shore and this house was on the South Shore. So you could walk around the pond and you could get to this abandoned house that had a couple acres of property around it that were overgrown. So it was like a house in the middle of the woods. And we would go and party there. And it was called the Ozzy House because somebody had spray painted like a huge, gigantic Ozzy Osbourne logo on the outside. And this is back in the 80s, like when nobody knew who Ozzy was. It was just like some metalhead who was probably Ozzy's only fan in the early days in the area, who just spray painted Ozzy all over the place. And the kids would go and hang out there because it was a rundown house, but it had a boat launch and it had a dock, so you could go, like, you can go dive off the dock and go swimming and party in the house and shit. In later years, the kids broke the staircase so you couldn't get to the second floor and set fire to it and started fires in the place that would send smoke out the chimney and attract the cops. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was probably the excuse that I used to get out of the house that day. And Bill and I were roaming around the neighborhood, and he had to take a shit. And rather than go back to his house, which would have been less than a mile away, probably, rather than go back to his house and take a shit, or come back to my house and take a shit, he decided to take a shit on a shingle, literally, a shit on a shingle, like a piece of shingle. He took a shit, and he purposely took a shit on one end of the shingle, on the far end of the shingle, for easy flinging. I don't know what goes on in your head where you think, I have to take a shit, so let's shit someplace where it's easy for me to throw it at somebody. But that's exactly what he did. He took a shit on a shingle, and he's showing it to me, like trying to gross me out. And I remember that there was pubic hair in it. And I remember teasing Bill about having ass hair, because at that point I probably didn't have ass hair. I probably have bountiful ass hair now, but at that point I hadn't grown my first ass hair yet. So I was teasing him about having ass hair and taking a shit so intensely that it actually pulled off an ass hair that was sticking out of the shit. And it was a nice solid turd, like a dog turd. And he's like, okay, what do we do with it? I'm like, what do you mean? What do we do with it? It's a shit. What do you plan on doing with the shit? But he must have had it already thought out in his head just by virtue of having shit in a shingle in the first place. He wanted to fling it at somebody. So we went to a neighbor's house and we hid behind the rock wall, that abutted a main road. The main road would be Route 39 in New Fairfield. Is it 39 or 37? I can't remember. It's either 30. I always get those two mixed up because they're two different roads that just go around Ball Pond. 39 goes one way, 37 goes the other way. They both like go around the pond. I think it was 39. Yeah, I think it was 30. Somebody on Google Earth can go and take a look. It was across the street from the private beach on Route 39 on Ball Pond in New Fairfield. We were hiding behind the wall, and he has this shit in a shingle in broad daylight. I don't know how somebody didn't come out and say, what are you kids doing in our yard with a piece of shit on a shingle? I don't know how somebody didn't come and break it up. But we hid behind this wall, and we were waiting for traffic to go by so that he could fling a turd at a car. This was his grand scheme all along, I imagine. He wanted to fling a turd at a car. A human turd, not a dog. I guess a dog turd wouldn't do. He had to have something that came out of his own body and fling it at a car. And we waited. We hunkered down behind the rock wall, peeking out to see when cars were coming. And we had already had a lot of practice on judging, like when you're going to throw something compared to how fast a car is going to be able to hit it, because we've been doing this for a while. Not with shit, but with things like wet wads of toilet paper and crab apples and stuff like that. And the first car to come along happened to be the poor, unsuspecting ice cream man. I might be dating myself here. I don't know if they even still have ice cream, quote, ice cream men, but in our neighborhood, when I was a kid, they had something that we call an ice cream man. He was a guy, he would drive around in a truck with a refrigerator, and he would sell ice cream out of his little fridge, and it had a great big hole in the side, which would be the sales window, and it's weird to think that that's something that most people might not be able to relate to, because it's so common to me, because I always grew up, like, growing up on Ball Pond and near the private beach, you know, the ice cream man would always come and ring his bell at the private beach, and all the people would come up from the beach and buy their ice cream, and, you know, kids would come out from their houses and chase down the ice cream man. I remember an Eddie Murphy bit about the ice cream man, but still, to be honest with you, I don't think I've seen an ice cream truck in a great many years, so it might be something like the drive-in that is now extinct. I'm just dating myself by talking about it. But anyway, the first vehicle to come along happened to be the ice cream man. So Bill gets ready with the shingle, flings it, goes right through the open sales window, splats on the side of the poor guy's ice cream trailer, like right on the side of his freezer. Like he's not going to be able to sell anything until he cleans like hunks of human shit off the side of the freezer. Horrible. Horrible. Imagine that's your job. You spend all your money to buy an ice cream truck, driving down the road innocently, minding your own business, figuring out where you're going to go next to sell your ice cream. And somebody just out of nowhere throws human shit at you. And now you've got to clean it up. So he flung the shit, and I was peeking up, and I saw the whole thing happen. Luckily, the guy didn't stop, because it probably would have been like some Spanish guy or Italian guy who would have beat the piss out of us if he caught us. But I looked up in time to see it, and the shit sailed from the shingle right through the air, perfectly splatted on the side and stuck to the side of the freezer in the ice cream truck. Right through the open sales window. And all that happened is the ice cream man laid on the horn. Like, he laid on the horn, like, he's honking at the shit. And I'm like, this would have been behind him. The sales window is behind you while you're driving the ice cream truck. But maybe he heard the splat, or maybe he smelled it or something. Because he laid on the horn, he's like honking at the shit. And I'm like, fuck, let's get out of here. Great story. I love that story. It's so immoral and rotten to be throwing shit at the ice cream at the ice cream man. Poor ice cream man too. And he was a nice guy, and I knew the guy because, you know, these ice cream guys would have like a local route and do the same route all the time. So I knew the ice cream man and had bought ice cream from him in the past. And he was a nice guy, and there would be times where I had like a line of credit with the ice cream man. Like, if I didn't have money one day, he would give me an ice cream, and I would just pay him the next day. He was a nice old Greek guy. Shit seemed to be quite a fixation with Bill, like back in the days. Like the last story I told, where he was throwing shit at the ice cream man. There's another shit-related story that I can remember where I talked about growing up on Ball Pond, and across from the lake, when I was a little kid, across from the pond, it was mostly like woods. One side of the pond was developed, the other side of the pond hadn't yet been developed. It has since been developed, and there's houses in there now, but when we were in our later years, like maybe when I was like 15, and he was 16, because he's a year older than me, they started buying and developing this land across from the pond because it's very valuable land, you know. These houses nowadays sell for $1.7 million. And they were just starting to build them when I was a kid. Like, you would be able to ride your bike up there. Well, we would be able to ride our bikes up there. And see these, they had poured the foundations, and they would have like a couple girders and beams up in like the frame of a house. And we used to go up and party in those, and, you know, smoke weed in there and drink beer in there, and that's where you would go and hang out in my town, because if you were a kid, you know, either you're going and partying at somebody's house, or you would go and party at a house that's being built. So there was this one house, I forget the name of the development, very exclusive development nowadays, but back then it was just being built, and there was like no grass, and everything had been like strip mined, and there were like no trees, no grass. It was just like mud and a couple of foundations and a couple of like rudimentary, like the beginnings of a home, like the frame and the outside walls, pretty much. And we used to go up there with our bikes on weekends, because apparently construction guys didn't work on the weekends. So they would have all this, they would have like the earth moving equipment and like the cement mixer, like, and shit parked out there. And thank God we didn't get messed up with that, because they would usually leave the keys in there, but I would be too scared to go in there and turn the key, and luckily Bill would too. And he was the type of guy who was constantly doing shit to try to impress me and make me laugh. I was a great audience, and I had a sick sense of humor. So if he did something like shit on a shingle and throw it at the ice cream man, I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And to be honest with you, I still think it's hysterically funny. But there was this one house that we went into, and they had just started putting in the plumbing. So there were some pipes leading up to the bathtub, and there was a pipe leading up to where a toilet would eventually be, but the toilet wasn't there yet. And there would be like, maybe sometimes there would be a bathtub, but it wasn't connected yet, and sometimes there'd be like a shower outfit, but it wasn't connected yet. And there was this one house that we went into, and they had just finished like putting together the attic. And all the tools were around, and there was like a little ladder leading up to the attic, and we didn't need the ladder, it turns out, but oh my God, I feel bad. I'm going to contact these people now and like ask them about it, but once again, Bill took a shit on something. I forget what it was, but something that in which you could fling a shit. Something on which you could use to fling a shit. He took a shit on something and flung it up into the attic, into the crawl space. And even at the time, I said, the crawl space is finished, the attic is done, nobody's going to go up there. Somebody's going to buy this house and wonder, what's that smell? And eventually go up there and find like a human turd, like stuck to the roof or something. Pardon me while I'm lighting my cigarette here. Don't worry, I'm not smoking weed. I'm proud to say I haven't smoked weed in about 3 months. I haven't done any drugs at all in more than that. Weed would have been the last drug that I did probably about 3 months ago. Well, no, 2 months ago, because the last time I smoked weed was when my drug dealer was over here and gave the cats fleas. So, yeah, let's say about 2 months. So where's my 2-month chip? Don't I get some kind of chip for having 2 months of sobriety? No, I don't think so. It was sort of cool when I was a kid to be able to have these places to go and play, to have places like the Ozzy House, and to have like the frames of homes that are being built to go and play in. And I remember there was somebody on my block, like literally like 3 houses up. A really nice house nowadays. It's like a really nice house. They would probably sell for like $1 million. But it was just being built, and I can't remember why, but I didn't like the people who had bought it. I don't remember why I didn't like them, and I don't remember how I knew them before they bought the place and before they were able to even move in. But I didn't like them, so I had captured a bunch of caterpillars in a jar, and I dumped them all on their porch and stomped on them. Really evil prank, really evil, cruel, disgusting prank. But yeah. I ought to go and ring their bell and say, I'm the guy who stomped on all the caterpillars that were there the day when you moved into your house. And caterpillars are sort of cool when you stomped on them, because then they're if you stomped on them from the butt end, then everything would shoot out their head. Like all the green guts and everything would shoot out their head. That was very evil. I'm not proud of that. I probably shouldn't have admitted that on the air, but yeah. There's the one time in my life where I've ever killed a creature purposefully is the time I dumped a jar full of caterpillars on the neighbor's porch and stomped on them. I'm an evil person. Actually, that's not even the only time that I've ever killed a living thing. There was when I was about 14, I had a hamster that kept keeping me awake at night, running on its wheel, and the wheel was squeaky, so it would make noise at night and keep me awake. So one night I pulled the wheel out of the hamster cage and threw it across the room with such force that it killed the hamster. And I felt so bad. I still feel bad about that, because the hamster, it was a beautiful, cute, cuddly little hamster just minding its own business, just doing what hamsters do. Hamsters are nocturnal animals, so when the lights go out, they wake up. And running on its wheel, minding its own business. I got pissed off. I pulled the wheel out, smashed it against the wall, and killed the hamster. And I remember going to my mom crying. This is probably when I was like 12. I went to my mom crying that the hamster wasn't moving because I didn't want to believe it was dead. I didn't want to believe that I had killed a hamster. So I went to my mom, like, crying, like looking for consolation or something. And of course, my mom, being the drunk that she was like, "You're evil! You killed it! You're a bastard!" Turns out she was right. No? I mean, well, I now put out my cigarette. I've been talking so long that now my throat is actually starting to bother me. Pardon me while I take a sip of my lemonade here. I'm happy to see so many people here after I've gone so many weeks without doing a show, and particularly tonight I've gone so long without making prank calls. But I'm going to wrap it up soon so that I can go play video games or whatever it is I want to do, and yeah. Like I said, when I was a kid, there wasn't a whole lot to do in my town aside from cause trouble and try to get a rise out of other people, and there's lots of things that I'm not proud of that we did back then, like things that I wouldn't do now. Being a driver, things that I wouldn't do right now. And one of the things that we did that I'm most ashamed of, probably shouldn't even talk about, but there was a summer home in our neighborhood, which was a common thing back then, probably not so much now because people don't have as much money now with the economy the way it is. But back then there would be rich people who have a summer home in our town and are only there during the 3 or 4 months of, spring and summer, maybe fall. So the houses would be locked down and battened up tight for most of the year, and we knew that we could go into these people's yards and nobody's going to be there and see us and call the cops and shit. There was this one house on Bills Road, at the end of Bills Road, the corner of Fairfield Drive and Forest Hills Drive. If you want to go look that up on Google, you can probably go see an aerial photo of the house that I'm talking about on the corner of Fairfield Drive and Forest Hills Drive in Fairfield, Connecticut. It was a summer home, and we knew it was a summer home because during the winter months, like, everything would get overgrown and not be taken care of because there's nobody around and there'd never be any lights on in the place and shit. But they had these big ass cement planters, it would be like a cement pot, probably like 8 inches wide and maybe let's say 2.5 feet long, where you would put plants in. Fucking heavy because they're made out of cement. And there was one night, this is my idea. I can't even blame Bill for this. This was my concept. I came up with this idea. My idea was to put one of the planters in the road, and we knew exactly where to put them because Fairfield Drive is a very steep road, and there's certain parts where the road just suddenly bottoms out, and you can't see what's over the crest of the hill until you hit it. So we took the planter, and we put it in the middle of the road. Actually, no, the place where we put it, it was on a pretty flat, straight area. So the guy, if he weren't speeding, would have been able to stop or swerve or go around it. But anyway, we took the cement planter and we put it in the road. It's about 8 inches high. No, maybe about 10 inches high. Probably weighed about 70 pounds or more because they're made out of cement and they had dirt and dead plants in them and shit. And we put it in the road because it was my stupid idea. And we hid behind this house because we know it's a summer house. Nobody's going to see us in their backyard, peeping out behind their house. And I still feel guilty about this because I know the kind of damage it must have caused. Somebody came down the hill at 50 miles an hour and hit that planter. And I remember seeing it in the light of the headlights and the street lights. It just exploded. As soon as it went under the bumper, but it hit something under the car. It hit maybe the fuel tank or a fuel line or something under the car hit it, and it just exploded into a puff of cement dust. And it was loud as an explosion. It was loud as if you had set off an M80. It was like a blockbuster. It was like an explosion. It was so loud. It was so loud that it echoed off the hills. And Bill got immediately scared and ran back to his house. And he was only 2 houses away, so he didn't have far to run. I had to run up 3 roads and across the main street where I had put the planter and get back to my house. So that's what I did. I had to run through people's yards quietly, run through the woods, sneak across the road when no cars are coming, get back to my house, hop through the window, and pretend like nothing ever happened. And I don't know what happened. I know that guy's car never ran the same again. Because it hit the drivetrain, it hit something under the car, and caused some complete and permanent damage. Because you're talking heavy cement, reinforced with the soil that's inside the pot. You know, it's a cement planter. The plants are all dead, but it's still filled with mud, which is heavy, encased by concrete, which is obviously hard as shit and heavy. So it probably fucked this poor guy's car up for life. Probably caused him several $1,000s worth of damage. But that's the sort of thing that we did when we were kids. That was one of the more destructive things when we were kids that we did when we were kids. Normally we would do innocuous things that wouldn't cause too much trouble. We had a pole that we used to put in the road, and the pole wouldn't cause any damage, but when a car ran over it, it would make a loud, resounding sound. It was a hollow, steel pole. It was strong enough that it wouldn't get crushed if a car ran over it. But if a car ran over it, it would bounce down the road and make really loud noise, weird pole bouncing sounds. You know, I can't think of any other way to describe it, but pole bouncing sounds. And we would always use the same pole. Like, people would hit it and it would roll off to the side of the road, and next time we went out, we would take it from the side of the road and put it back in the road and sit there and listen and laugh. And it was great fun for all, I guess. It didn't do any damage to any cars, and as far as I know. And it was a great source of amusement for us. But the earliest thing that I can remember doing, because things graduate from one to another, like something is fun for a while, then you have to make it more severe. Like sometimes people masturbate to straight porn for a while, then after a while they have to masturbate to piss porn to get off, and then after a while they have to masturbate to scat porn to get off. Like things have to get constantly more and more severe for you to be able to continue getting off on it, is my point. And the most innocuous thing that I can remember is we had like a wooden stick, like a surveyor stick, and we would tie it to a piece of rope, and we would walk on one side of the road with the stick on the other side, still tied to the rope, slacken the road so the cars could drive over it. And when cars drove by, we would yank on the rope, and the stick would like slam into the side of the car, probably causing a dent. That's the way we started. And then we graduated to things like friend pole, the pole, and the cement planter. And if it were Christmas time, we would have a lot of houses in our neighborhood where they would just throw their tree in the backyard to let it rot, because they don't want to pay somebody to take it away, because it would cost extra from the garbage company to take away their Christmas tree. So we would go into their backyard and we would take the tree and we would put it up on the road. Sometimes it would still have ornaments or tinsel and garland on it. And we would put the trees on the road, and there were a couple times where I was trying to make Bill laugh, and I would hold the tree upright, hiding behind it to the traffic in the road. In retrospect, I could have easily been hit by a car. But I would hold the tree up and I would dance around, like do a little dance with the tree, and then run away. But things elevated to the point where we were actually building things that looked like a dead body to put on a road. I literally sewed a pair of sneakers to the cuffs of a pair of pants, and like the cuff of a shirt to the cuff of a pair of pants, and gloves to the cuffs of a shirt, and stuffed it all with newspaper so it looked like a body. Like at first glance, like in the millisecond that you see it before you actually hit it, it looks like a body. And we never did come up with something believable for the head, so we would usually take like a soccer ball or a basketball and put a basketball hat on it and put it in the neck area of the dummy when we put it in the road. But there was one time where we took it even a step further, where we found a mangled bicycle in the woods. So we decided we're going to put the mangled bicycle in the woods and make it look like the dummy was riding the bike and got hit by a car. So not only are they going to hit the body, the quote body, which we named Fred. I don't know why, but we named it Fred. Because we would always reuse the same body, because I had spent all the time to sew the sneakers to the cuffs of the pants, and to sew the gloves to the cuffs of the sweatshirt, and stuff it with newspapers and give it some kind of volume, that we would reuse the same thing over and over again. Like when we were done for the night, we would throw it into the woods and go back the next night and get it again. Let me see if anybody's even listening to my stupid stories, or if I'm just talking to myself. Let me go check Shoutcast right now. Okay, well, there's 15 people at least listening. That's good. So there was one time where we had found a mangled bicycle in the middle of the woods. I don't know why it would be in the middle of the woods, but it was. And we took it to the road, and we put the mannequin on it so that it looked like a child who had just been run over and knocked off his bike. And a pickup truck comes down the hill. We purposely situated this one right over the crest of the hill where nobody could see it before they hit it. Like you couldn't possibly stop in time. And it was in the winter where the roads were a little snowy. And in retrospect, we could have killed somebody doing stuff like this. All the stuff that we could have done could have resulted in somebody panicking and going off the road and hitting a tree and killing themselves. So I realize how dumb it is now as a driver. But these are the sorts of things that we would do for amusement, just for lack of amusement, in such a small New England town. And I got to say, I've never seen anything like it. I've never been driving and seen anybody throw snowballs at my car or wet toilet paper at my car or somebody dancing in the road with a Christmas tree or putting a mannequin on the road. I've never seen anybody do what we did. Still living in the same area that I grew up in. But we put the mannequin on the bike, we laid it in the road, we situated it perfectly in a place where you would never be able to stop in time before you hit it. And a pickup truck comes along, speeding, going down the hill, hits the thing, hits the bike, drags the bike for a couple hundred feet, stomps on his brake, does like a little fishtail, and we're booking out of the way. We're like running for our lives. Half an hour goes by, nothing happens. 45 minutes goes by, nothing happens. An hour happens. An hour goes by, nothing happens. So we go back and we're putting it back out in the road when the pickup truck comes down the road again. The same pickup truck comes down the road again while we're putting it back out for our next victim. And the guy caught us. And as luck would have it, the guy was a friend of my mom's. So he threatens us, tries to scare us, and immediately drives over to my parents' house and tells them what we've done. We're pretending that we're scaring people into thinking that they've run over a child who was riding his bike down the road. And I remember being afraid to come home, but I know I need to sleep, and I don't want to sleep in the woods. I don't want to be homeless. I'm not running away from home over this. So eventually I have to go back home. And I go in, and the guy is already gone. I saw him at my house, because I saw the pickup truck in the driveway. And after he's gone, I go in, and I'm hoping for the best. We had denied it to him, but he knew very well it was us, because he saw us taking it out on the road in the first place. I'm hoping for the best, and I go in the house, and my mom is laughing hysterically. My mom thought it was the funniest thing in the world, that we were doing something so creative and mischievous. So you can sort of tell where my mischievous streak comes from. My parents had it in them, but they just didn't express it the way I do. But my mom, to be honest, I don't think my dad ever even found out. I don't know if my mom even ever told my dad, because he was at work at the time, and he never brought it up to me. So I don't know if she ever even told him. But I came home, and my mom was laughing about it. She thought it was hysterical. She was laughing harder than I was. She was asking about the details. She thought it was like the most creative thing in the world. She was like, "You mean you sewed a pair of your old sneakers to a pair of your old pants?" If one thing that bothered her is probably the fact that I used like a good sweatshirt to make the body. But anyway, I'm going to give out the phone number for the last time. If nobody's going to call, then I guess I'm going to wrap it up here. The phone number is 1-877-651-3278. You can call in and derail me and change the subject and talk about what you want to talk about, or you can continue to listen to my wacky stories. Back with Cephas and Reese on the phone here. Hello? Is this Cephas or Reese?
Cephas or Reese?
Cephas and Reese on the phone here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me play the applause sound effect for you. How are you doing tonight?
Well, it's getting better. My night's getting a little better. And that's because everybody's finally left, so.
Everybody's what?
Everybody's finally left my house.
Everybody's finally left? Oh, left your house. What are you partying down there? You having a sexy party?
I wouldn't call it a sexy party. Call it a family invasion, because I go to use the restroom and I lose my laptop to my brother, and then I'm talking on the phone with my sister, and then she comes over. So it wasn't a fun night at all.
That's a good thing. Family is a good thing.
Family's a good thing if you want it to be a good thing.
Yeah, I guess.
But I was listening to your story about putting shit in the street, and did you really put a 70-pound flower pot in the street?
It was a 70-pound flower planter, and 70-pound might even be conservative. It might even, it took both of us on each end to carry it. It might even have been more.
Because that's just fucking hilarious.
Don't tell me you're the guy who ran it over.
No, I wasn't in, I can't say I was in Connecticut at the time, but whatever. Yeah, Connecticut, sorry, no.
Things get real boring around. That's what happens when things get that boring and you don't provide an outlet for children. That's what happens.
Oh, I know.
Right. A lot of kids will start skateboarding. A lot of kids will take up dirt bike riding. We took up putting cement planters in the fucking road.
Well, that's fun.
It was a nightly thing back then too.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, my cousin came to visit, and I tried to introduce her to the whole ordeal, and she got so into it. We found like an abandoned. It was like a plastic bowling set or something. It was a set of bowling pins, like in the middle of the woods, like a whole set of bowling pins. And we were hiding over the wall at the same house where we stole the cement planter from. And, tossing these bowling pins at cars as they went by, just throwing these bowling pins at cars. And, my cousin wasn't as well versed in the art of the getaway as I was. So, we threw bowling pins at the cars, and I ran across the road and I got away. Because I knew the biggest obstacle is getting across the road, so I wanted to get that out of the way right away. So as soon as I saw that the car was starting to stop, I ran across the street and hid in the woods. But my cousin hid under a car, and the car stopped, and the guy walked around and looked, and he's looking for who just threw a bowling pin at my car. We're not talking like a real bowling pin that's going to break a windshield. We're talking little plastic, rubber bowling pins that they're not really going to hurt anything. But she hid under a parked car in a driveway, and they caught her. They grabbed her by the arm, and guess what happened?
What?
She started yelling rape. She started yelling rape, and the guy got scared and let her go.
That'd be horrible to have happen to you. You just grab the steel all of a sudden, and you're like, okay.
Right. He thought he was going to be Mr. Big Man, grabbed somebody and just threw a bowling pin in his car. It turns out to be a chick who's screaming rape because he's grabbing her by the wrist, and he got scared. He let her go, and she ran away, and we both got away. But yeah, she got caught.
You should have set them all up in the middle of the street to see if anybody would have struck out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think that was sort of the point. I think that's what we were aiming for in the beginning. But she was always sort of trying to impress me. I love my cousin more than any of my other family, and she was sort of trying to impress me. You know, we've always had a great connection together, and we've always been great friends. And she was trying to prove that she's down with the shit I was into at that time. By throwing, just literally hurling the pins themselves at the car windshields. And she hit a car right in the windshield. She had great aim. But, the car gets 100 feet away, and then it stopped, and then you're like, fuck, I gotta hide. So she hid under a truck, and they caught her, and she yelled rape and got away because they got scared and left. But, there you go. You brought up another funny story. I'm glad you called now, because you brought up another funny story. What did you do when you were a kid? Do you ever do any kind of funky shit like that when you were a kid?
Oh, I still am a kid, actually. I'm 17, but still do this shit every once in a while. The most recent thing I did was, there's an apartment complex near where I live, and it's kind of falling apart. It's been red tagged. And they put up these, construction fucking barriers on it because shit falls off of it. And so about 3 a.m. I go out and move these barriers into the street. And there's another apartment complex right across the street. They have a porch, it was a wall. There's a wall and then a porch you can hide behind. And so I'm sitting there for about an hour watching cars stopping and turning around. And then I turn to look up the street, and here comes a fire truck.
Oh,
it didn't have its lights on there for some reason, but it pulls up, it's squeaking brakes and little chains and stuff making a noise. And I'm just fucking tweaking out. I'm like, oh fuck. Because, like, the wall has holes in it that they can see through. And so I'm watching them, and they move the cones gingerly out of the way, and then they head on their way. And the next day I find out that there was a house fire 3 blocks away.
Oh, man, so you caused somebody's house to burn down because you put shit in the road.
No, it didn't burn down. It just had really bad smoke damage, I guess. So
yeah.
It was funny at the time.
A lot of the shit I did back then I feel regretful for now because I realize, now that I'm an adult, I realize the consequences of the dumb shit I did back then. Yeah. I did actually once cause a car accident.
Wow. I haven't caused a car accident, but
This is a story I've never told on the air before, but I took a gigantic tree branch that had fallen down during a storm, and I dragged it into the road because I was angry and I was looking for amusement. I was angry because my friend had ditched me at the Danbury Fair Mall, and I had to walk home, and it was like a 5-mile walk. So I'm walking home like through like side streets and every shortcut I know to get back home. So it's like less than 5 miles. And just to amuse myself, I dragged like a tree branch, like a huge tree limb that probably weighed like 75 pounds. I just dragged it into the road just for my own amusement. And somebody got panicked when they saw it, and they drove up a hill trying to go around it. And they flipped onto the roof.
Wow.
And there's more to that story, but I'm not ready to tell it yet because I don't know what the statute of limitations.
They probably aren't listening.
Okay, so the car flips up onto the roof, and I was afraid of it catching fire. And the people were still inside the car and not making any effort to get out. Like after a minute or two, I'm sitting there watching, they're not making any effort to get out. So I went to the road, and the car is upside down. Like I'm literally like looking at the engine when it run up. And I think the people were in the car unconscious. There were 2 people. There was a passenger and a driver. And I kicked out the passenger window and I pulled the driver out. I grabbed him by the hand and I pulled him out. And the same with the passenger. Because I think they both like hit the roof so hard that they were knocked out. Because they were unresponsive when I pulled them out. They didn't die, I know from later reading the police reports. But
hopefully you were a good Samaritan.
Well, afterwards the car caught fire.
Oh.
So I pulled them out, and afterwards the car caught fire. So if I hadn't pulled them out, they might have died.
You may have caused an accident, but you may have saved a life.
I may have almost been responsible for the death of 2 people.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have been caught.
I wouldn't have been caught, but I would have been forever living with the guilt and bad karma of having killed 2 people.
Well, I guess.
But they did mention in the paper that somebody pulled them out and they didn't know who it was. And there was something in the paper that they were asking for, like, who was the Good Samaritan? They're, like, trying to find out who I was. And I'm like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way I'm coming forward because I caused the accident, so there's no way I'm a Good Samaritan.
Oh, you wouldn't have to let them know that you did it.
Well, there was no way I was there. Up until now, I've never spoken about it. It's like completely suppressed in my memory. It's like a shame, probably the most shameful moment in my history, even worse than fucking Siobhan. So you're 17 years old. You're living in where?
I'm living in Sioux City, Iowa. Illinois.
Oh my God, that sucks.
Well,
Iowa's gotta suck.
Not the worst, but it's not the greatest.
Yeah, and what do you do for a living? Or do you have
I don't have a living yet. I'm still a schoolboy, I guess.
Yeah. What are you going to be a senior this year?
I'm still, I guess, considered a junior, but I've got about half of my senior credits done, so.
Well, that's cool. You mean you're going to graduate a half a year semester early?
Yeah, pretty much. I can
That's
get
cool.
out
I did too. I
close to a
graduated
year
a
early.
semester early.
I mean, if I can graduate before I'm 18, that'd be fucking awesome. Because
So you're virgin or you gotten laid?
I am a bachelor. I don't need people to live off of, so I guess I'm still considered a virgin, yeah. Does it bother me? No.
What's wrong with you that you're still a virgin? Like physically or mentally, what's wrong with you?
Well, I guess mentally, a lot of things. Physically, I'm not the greatest. I'm not Joe Spud, but, I'm not horrible. I mean, if I wanted to go out and get a chick, I probably could, but I'm not going to take the effort because I'm just that fucking lazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're gay?
No. I'm nothing. I guess, if I'd say I'm straight, but not looking.
So you're gay?
Well, I don't know. I ain't gonna go fuck a man, I ain't gonna go kiss a man.
Isn't it weird how I could tell so easily that you're gay?
I'm not.
That's my gay card.
I don't know. I guess I'm confused.
If you were straight, you would have gotten laid by now, unless there's something physically defective about you.
I guess my antidepressants do have a little sexual side effects. But I guess that's...
You mean you can't get it up?
I can, but I can't get it off.
Really? Well, that would be a good thing. If you're with a woman, that'd be a good thing, because you could last forever.
I guess, but, that's where chasing comes in, I guess.
Okay, well.
I don't know. This ain't the most comfortable conversation, but I mean, okay.
Can I give you some advice?
Yeah.
Never live your life worrying what other people are going to think about you.
If I thought that, I would have cut my hair 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, gay guys don't like long hair, so you probably ought to cut it.
I'm never going to cut it because, I think, if somehow it gets down to my feet, so what? I've got to just wear a hat.
Okay, so what name do you want to go by?
I'll go by
you call it again.
Mitch. My name is Mitch.
Mitch, you want to go by Mitch?
Yes, that's my real name, I guess.
Okay, that's good.
That's the name I was given at birth 17 years ago.
Okay, so there's nothing physically wrong with you. You're not.
Hey, maybe I've got man boobs, but that's it. I don't exercise. I'm like 200 pounds.
How tall?
Go down to the middle of my back.
How tall
are you? That's it.
How tall are you?
Am I about 6 foot. I'm 5'11" and half an inch.
So 200 is not really that fat for you.
Yeah, but it's just a portion. It's
a little overweight. A little bit.
Like,
barely.
I could wear a bra and nobody would fucking notice because it just look normal.
Really? So that means you have like no muscle?
No, I'm not a muscle man. I'm just a lazy asshole sit back in bed and eat all day if I need to.
Okay, well, is this your first time listening?
No, the first show I ever heard was Hunter and Hashi way back when.
The first show you listened to was Hunter?
Yeah, I thought he was good too. I thought it was pretty good.
That takes me back, like remembering Hunter. Oh my God. Hunter was so long ago for me, in my mind.
Yeah. But I never heard Sean Ward. That was the only show I never heard.
Well, he was great. Too bad you missed it. He was great. He's a legend.
I tune in every Sunday and be like, I've never fine when he was drunk.
Well, he was a legend.
Yeah.
You missed that.
Yeah.
Stonewall was great. He'll never be back again, but he was
Yeah,
great.
I've heard most of his calls on the rotation.
Huh?
I've heard his calls on the rotation. He is a legend. Good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Sean Ward. I wish he would be more involved, but he's not. Last time I spoke to him was when I called him telling him I was thinking about killing myself. And he pretty much told me I was a loser for thinking about killing myself.
Oh, did that help? Did it drive you to
No, it did absolutely nothing to help. It was like the worst thing anybody could have said at that time. It would have been like kicking somebody into the coffin at that point. That's why.
Yeah, you're not a loser.
Huh?
You're not a loser at all. You're fucking cool. You know, I didn't listen to you.
I'm a total loser.
No, it's like when you're talking about these stories, it's like it's fucking normal. It's like I can relate to this shit because like I've done it before. Like I put a couch in the middle of the road and have people in it.
Couch? You put a couch in the road?
Well,
that's fucking
I was
awesome.
thinking there's
I've never done a couch before.
There were these two apartment complexes on the other side of the street, and behind one of them there was this old couch. So I dragged it out about 1 a.m., and about 3 hours later, I guess after the bars got out, I'm watching, and all of a sudden, here comes this guy down 30 miles an hour down the street and just plows it. And he keeps going. He doesn't stop.
They always do, though, you know? I figured they don't stop because, like, they're fucking drunk. Because they're afraid to be caught by the cops. They're like, fuck, I just hit a couch. I just hit a 100-pound cement planter, but I'm not going to stop because I'm drunk. And I don't want cops to
And then once I found this baby doll, it said clothes on it, so I squirted ketchup under the clothes, and then I threw it out the top story of the apartment complex, and it hit a car, and it hit the hood of the car and splattered ketchup everywhere, and so these people get out of the car freaking out that they just killed a baby.
I'm evil for laughing at that, but I think it's fucking funny.
Oh, it's funny, you know. It wasn't a real baby.
Yeah, right. There's a
I'm not that horrible yet.
In my town, there used to be like a specific garbage pickup day where they would pick up larger items only on certain days. And we had gone out to cause trouble on that day. And one of the things that we found, like at the end of people's driveways, was a big plastic piano. It was like a big plastic, not a piano, but like a xylophone. The body was shaped like a dinosaur because it's like a kid's toy. Right, and the keys are all like pieces of metal like a xylophone. I remember putting that in the road, and it was the funniest fucking thing in the world. Even now, thinking about it, I think it's hysterical. Because when the car hit it, the plastic exploded, and the keys went flying, and they bounced down the road, making their own little sounds, because they're all, like, designed to make a specific sound. So it was like a song being played down the road, like, as these guys, like, ran over this, they obliterated this thing, going so fast. And the keys bounced down the road, like, making little tinkling sounds. Like it was playing some kind of fucked up song, like we just ruined your car kind of song.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was good talking to you. You're a good bro. I want you to call in again.
Oh, you know, if you're on next week, I'm going to call in because
okay, I'll talk to you next week.
So,
okay?
Yeah, you know, you're on. I'm going to call in.
Okay, I'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Bye-bye. And there you go. There's an awesome new caller, somebody that I haven't spoken to before. I love talking to new people. That's awesome. I love that shit. Anyway, I do have to go pee, though, because I've been holding a piss in the chamber for like a half hour now. Speaking of hosted prank callers, I actually got an email a couple of months ago thanking me for my help from somebody who went on to be a participant or a contestant on MTV's From G's to Gents. It turns out that Shane C., who is a hosted prank caller at KDKPrankCallers.com, got himself a gig, went on to go on and get himself a gig on MTV's From G's to Gents.com TV show, not .com. If anything, if you wanted to find it, it would be on MTV.com, but he was on the TV show From G's to Gents, and his name was Shane C., and he actually turned up to be, I don't think he won, but he turned out to be like one of the finalists on the show, and they had like a good 12-episode run. They probably got a couple thousand people watching, several tens of people watching. So that's something to look for. I never watched that show, and I've never seen it before because I didn't know he was on it. If I had known that he was on it, I would have watched, but apparently he was legally bound not to be able to tell me about it until the show was done with all of the new episodes. So he recently wrote to me and said thank you for hosting my prank calls, and said that he was a part of From G's to Gents, and I did manage to catch one download that I saw where he was on, and he came off pretty good. He seemed like one of the less douchey participants of the show. So there you go. You can go listen to Shane C. at KDKPrankCalls.com by clicking on Hosted Pranks. You can go listen to Shane C.'s stuff if you choose to do so. Anyway, let me see if anybody's saying anything on AIM. No, it doesn't look like anybody is saying anything on AIM that's very pertinent or important. Braden says he's tuning in now, not on Fartsteam, ? Actually, that's the only place we're on. We're only on Fartsteam. We're exclusively on Fartsteam right now because I'm so out of the loop that nobody else is going to air the show from somebody who's so unreliable as I. Right. But I'm here now, and that's what matters. Pardon me while I relight my cigarette because it went out due to these low-burning filters. I had a cigarette lit, put it down while I went to the bathroom, and it went out on me while I was in the bathroom because of these new cigarette papers that are supposed to put your cigarette out so you don't burn your house down while you're drunk. Anyway, I'm going to play this call from Mr. Blonde so that you guys can critique it along with me. And he had suggested the 9-minute prank call before, but now he's suggesting I play Where's Your Fucking Balls. So here you go, Where's Your Fucking Balls by Mr. Blonde. And I'll be back. Maybe I'll do some running commentary.
Welcome to People Business. My name is Dave. How can I help today?
Where's your fucking balls, huh? If I was in your situation, I'd want to get through this whole thing as quickly and with as little pain as possible.
Good morning, you're through the team at 3 for business. How can I help?
Get this through your head, you Jew motherfucker, you! You only exist out here because of me! Without me, you, personally, every fucking wise guy still around, will take a piece of your fucking Jew ass! Then where you gonna go? Huh?
Good morning, welcome to 3 for business. You're speaking to Michael. How can I help you?
What the fuck is your problem?
Good morning, sir. Welcome to 3 for business. You're speaking to Michael. How can I help you?
You know I'm trying to put something really big together out here. You know what I'm talking about, huh? You know.
Unless you're going to speak in a reasonable language, sir, then I will terminate this call.
Okay. It's Christmas time. There's always a lot of burglaries around the holidays. So I'm checking the neighborhood.
I'm releasing this call.
Where's your...
Good morning, welcome to 3 for business. You're speaking to Michael. How can I help you?
You're going to tell me something today, tough guy. Where's your fucking balls?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Where's your fucking balls? Huh?
I'm sorry, I'm releasing this call.
Get this way out of you, motherfucker, you only exist out here because of me! Ah!
Good morning, welcome to 3 for Business. You're speaking to Michael. How can I help you?
You know I get calls from back home every fucking day. They think you went back.
Bye, sir.
Ah!
Good afternoon, welcome to People Business. You're speaking to Samara. How can I help?
Where's your fucking balls? I don't want to bring this up, but you've been treating a lot of people with a lot of disrespect, even your own wife.
Call, I'm going to disconnect this call.
Fucker, be fucking nice. Where's your fucking balls?
Welcome to People Business. My name is Dave.
You shit-kicking, stinky horse-smelling motherfucker, you! Where's your fucking balls? You motherfucker! You dumb motherfucker! You motherfucker, you! Piece of shit!
Hello?
Cool yourself from me. You fuck people out of money and get away with it. Well, I don't give a fuck. You fucking me.
Good morning, welcome to 3 for Business. You're speaking to Graham. How can I help you?
Yeah. Where's your fucking balls?
I'm sorry?
Where's your fucking balls?
Where's your what, sorry?
Where's your fucking balls? Huh?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again, please?
You know, I'm trying to put something really big together out here. You know what I'm talking about. You know.
Yeah.
I think in all fairness.
Afternoon. This is a message for the main user of this handset. My name's Emma Warwick. I'm one of the managers in the Chief Executive's office. The reason I'm calling you today is just regarding the nature of some of the calls that you've been putting through to our customer care centre. Please be advised that calls of this type are unacceptable and potentially will cause this line to be disconnected. If you have any further questions about this, please don't hesitate to contact me on 08707 330 295. Thank you.
Okay, we're back, and that was, as far as I know, that was the first Joe Pesci soundboard prank call that I've played on the air here. That and more you can find on the website tomorrow at kdkprankcalls.com when I do the latest update, when I do the December update. There's new pictures and prank calls and soundboards and stuff that's going to be up there, hopefully by the end of tomorrow, whenever I get around to doing it. But, yeah, there you go. Now suddenly I have like a headache. I don't know why. The headphones are crushing my head, giving me a headache. Anyway, I'm going to give out the phone number one last time. If anybody wants to call in and talk, feel free to do so. It's a toll-free number, and I'm not going to give out your personal info on the air unless you're a douche. So, no need to worry unless you're a douche. The number is 1-877-651-3278, 1-877-651-3278. Again, 1-877-651-FART, fart. And that way you'll get a hold of me and we can talk on the air. And who knows? If you can dial, then maybe we can do some prank calls together. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Anyway, let me go back to the chat room and see if anybody's said anything interesting. Fetus Man. Oh, apparently Fetus Man is the guy who just called in. He says that one of the stories I didn't tell from about 8 years ago was when my sister put a batting cage in the middle of the road when I lived in Minnesota. It's weird, when we were kids, everything involved roads. Everything involved putting things in roads, whether it was poles or Christmas trees or things that looked like dead bodies or flinging shit at cars. Everything involved the road. And we got so good at it after doing it so long. We knew exactly where to do things, where people would have a hard time stopping quickly to be able to turn around and come get us and stuff. And in fact, the only time we ever got caught was one time we were throwing snowballs at cars, and somebody actually knew the back road and pulled around and came up behind us and caught us. And it wasn't cops. It was like fellow teenagers who beat up my friend Bill, and I got away. I was always the faster one. I can still, actually, Bill and I were talking about this the other night. I can still remember a night where it was Halloween, and we had gone out, and Bill was not the most popular person in the world because a year or so before he had stabbed a popular kid in the lip with a pencil, and somebody else, like a week later, he had stabbed, like, right next to the eye with a pencil. Not in the eye, like, right next to the eye, like the inside of the eye socket, he stabbed him with a pencil. And the guy, to this day, probably still has a scar, but serves him right for being a bully. But we were out on Halloween, and he was not a well-respected kind of guy, and he wasn't wearing a disguise. He was probably just going out dressed as a hobo with, like, charcoal on his face or something. So he was easily recognizable. And we got surrounded by a group of kids, and I knew to run right away, because I knew my association with him would put me in danger. So I ran away, like a coward. I ran away immediately. But he stayed there and tried to fight, and somebody pulled out nunchucks, and he pulled out a screwdriver, a sharpened screwdriver, and stabbed somebody on Halloween night. That was probably, let me try to date myself there, that was probably like 1987 or 88. So if you're in the Fairfield and were stabbed by somebody with a sharpened screwdriver on Halloween night in the Fairfield, then that was probably drunk Bill that did it to you. So there you go. Maybe I should tell one last story before I end the show and to give people time to call in if they want to. Let me try to tell a story that keeps on topic with the others that I've told tonight. Well, this is pertinent, I guess. I can talk about my first gay experience, just so everybody tunes out. Let me see how many people are listening right now, so I can gauge how many people tune out, like after I tell a gay story. So we've got 18 people listening right now. So let me see how many people are listening after I'm done with my gay stories. So. My first gay experience happened at Ball Pond, which is, like I said earlier tonight, the pond that I grew up on. Very nice, sequestered, quiet, rural. How can you say a word like rural without that sounding like retarded or drunk? But we were at Ball Pond, at the private beach. If you were to Google image search it, or Google Earth it, or Microsoft Earth it, you could probably take a look at it right now. We were at the private beach of Ball Pond in New Fairfield, Connecticut, and we were skinny dipping. And I remember being so insecure about being skinny dipping that I got into the water before I took my shorts off. So I got into the water and took my shorts off. I knew I had a great body back then because I had like no fat on me. But I was insecure about showing other guys my penis because I knew I only had like a 6-inch penis, and from the porn that I had seen, 6 was on the very small side. It probably is, even though they tell you in school 6 is average. 6 is actually probably quite small, and the average is probably more like 7 or 8. Judging from my own personal experience. Pardon me while I take a sip of my lemonade. So I had gotten into the water and pulled off my pants once I got at least waist deep in the water and thrown them to the shore. I wasn't really too concerned about it because you can't really see the water from the road. in ball pong because it's a very steep slope. So if you're driving by, you really can't see what's happening in the water aside from like 20 feet out. So if you're within 15, 20 feet, people aren't going to see you unless they're like walking up on the beach, and the fences were locked, so we had to hop them to get in. So if somebody's going to hop the fence to get in and see us naked, we would have heard it well beforehand. So I felt comfortable. Like once I was in the water, my penis was submerged, I felt comfortable getting naked and flinging my shorts up on shore. And I gotta say, there really is nothing. There is no sensation that compares to like swimming naked, because it feels so good with like the water like swishing around your balls. It just feels so natural, and it feels so normal. If there is such a word. Pardon me while I light a cigarette here. But I remember being like so ashamed of my small penis that I didn't want to take my shorts off until after I was already in the water. I was like, okay, I'm willing to go skinny dipping, but I don't want you to see my penis because, you know, everybody says that 6 inches is adequate and normal, but in reality, well, if I were to judge by the porn that I watch, then the average size is 10 inches. But you know, they always tell you in high school the average is 6 inches, and I think they lie to you. I think they really lie. I think average is more like 7, 8 inches, judging from my own experience. Or at least the Asians are throwing the curve off or something. Like the 4 or 5 inch Asians are throwing off the curve of the Caucasians like 7, 8 inches. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I'm naked and I'm swimming around in the water, enjoying the flow of water across my balls, my free floating balls. And Drunk Bill is there swimming with me, and he did the same thing. He didn't want to take off his underwear until he got in the water, so he was probably just following my lead. But he has a very small penis too. He's only 6 inches also, but has no girth. He's got like a narrow, pointy penis. If those are proper words that you could use to describe a penis, narrow and pointy. But I wasn't worried about like width and girth at that point. I was just worried about length. But anyway, we're swimming in the water, and I swim out to the dock, where they have like a slide and a diving board on, and I get up the nerve to like climb the ladder and go off the slide, and I'm going off the diving board, like allowing Bill to like get glimpses of my penis, and he's probably getting turned on, because at that point I was 5'10", probably weighed all of 142 pounds, so I had like no fat on me, like beautiful swimmer's body. I wish I could have that body again, but that's neither here nor there. But there was one point where I was swimming to the outer ropes. They set like ropes to decide what is safe to go beyond, like at the private beach that we used to swim at. And they would have like outer ropes where the water is going to be like 20 feet and the kelp and seaweed starts getting really long. And they set these ropes up to block it off, because that's like the limit to where they trim it. And you're not supposed to go beyond that. So, you know, I went off the diving board and I'm swimming out to the ropes, and we were racing each other. Like Bill was behind me and he was racing me. And he was probably moving into my asshole, because he got too close, because while I'm swimming I kicked him in the balls, like while we're like skinny dipping. And he's like moaning and whining that I kicked him in the balls. It wasn't on purpose, but he just got too close to me, and I wasn't trying to like keep him away, but he just invaded my personal space and got kicked in the balls by accident. And pardon me while I take a drag from my cigarette here. And so in retaliation, we got up onto the dock naked to go off the slide again, and he kicked me in the balls, like on purpose. I had kicked him like in a backhanded kick, not on purpose, but now we're on land, we're not muffled by water, and his leg isn't slowed down by water, and he kicked me in the balls on purpose, and I got angry. So I keeled over and I fell in the water, and he fell in, and he's like getting up behind me, like he wants to like do rear entry, and I turn around and I grabbed him by the ball sack and squeezed his balls, like on purpose, just like trying to hurt him, not even like a sexual thing, just like in retaliation, because he had kicked me in the balls when I had accidentally kicked him in the balls. He's looking for revenge. Actually, he was just looking for an excuse to like fiddle with my balls. Even I don't even think he wanted to like get retaliation. He was just looking like for an excuse to involve balls in the proceedings. So I grabbed him by the ball sack and I squeezed his balls, and it hurt, and he got pissed. And I tried to swim back to the dock, and he latched onto me from behind with like an arm around my neck, and the other arm around my midsection, and his legs like wrapped around mine so that I couldn't even swim. I was like drowning there, and he's like holding me there, and I'm trying to shake him off, and I eventually like make my way to the ladder, and he's still latched onto me. With a full boner, I could feel behind me. Like, not like he's entering me, but I could feel it like poking me. And he does the old reach around, and he's like jerking me off. And he's like, oh, I'm going to get revenge, I'm going to get revenge. And he's acting like that was his excuse, like he's getting revenge for kicking him in the balls, or me squeezing his balls, by giving me the reach around. And I remember saying to him, get off me before I come. And he's just latched onto me and jerking me off. That was my first gay experience where I came in the water. Of course, when you're like 17 years old, it takes you all of like 15 seconds to get off if you're turned on enough. And yeah, I left a cum glob in the water, I'm sure. Well, I know I left a cum glob in the water. But that's my first gay experience. With drunk Bill pretending it was inadvertent or accidental, and then afterwards acting like I was gay because I came while he was jerking me off. I thought that was strange. Acting like I was gayer than he was, even though he's the one who jerked me off. He was the one acting like I was gay while having a boner pressed up against my ass and giving me the reach around and jerking me off till I came. Acting like I was the one who was gay. And he's still sort of like that. He's still totally in the closet. Pretty sad that somebody would be that old and still in the closet. Pretty sad. Anyway, nobody's calling, so I think I'm going to wrap up the show here. I hope everybody had fun. Let me see how many people are tuned out, like while I was telling my gay story. We started out with 18. Let me see how many people tuned out. Nobody tuned out. We still got the same number. Awesome. That's cool. I love you guys. Anyway, until next week. Now I gotta figure out what song I want to play, like, in the background while I tune out. I gotta post that sound for download so people could use it as a ringtone. The drowning cat ringtone. I love that shit. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week I'll be back with a phone card so that I can do some prank calls. Get back to some sense of normality here on the show here because, yeah, I'm pretty much been fighting lately to get back to some sense of normalcy and come down from my wacky hijinks, my partying and drug doing and drinking and whoring around and fucking everything in sight kind of days, and try to come back down and be a normal person again. I think I did a good job tonight. I think I was relatively normal tonight, at least, right? Since I keep mentioning it, before I go, let me play that song I keep talking about. I'm going to play that song. It's from Toad the Wet Sprocket. They were very popular back in the day for the one song that they had called All I Want. I'll play a second of All I Want just so you know what I'm talking about.
Nothing so loud, hearing when we lie.
Right, so they were a top 40 band for a little while, but the song I keep referencing is one called Come Back Down, which is about drug and alcohol addiction.
I've come here 1,000 times, some things never change. Yes, I will. Anything you say, I'll quit. This 1,000,000 times, can't quite stay away. Just one more time, I'll be okay. But I'm so damn tired. When I come back down, so I'm crazy too. Anything you want from me, I'll do. When I come back down, hey Joe, could you spare a buck? I could use some food. What a life. One more 2 hours, and it's back again, laughing at my heels. Stop yelling, I'll get through. But I'm so damn tired. When I come back down, so I'm crazy too. Come back down. Anything you want from me, I'll do. When I come back down, when I come back down, when I come back down, I'll come here 1,000 times. Some things never change. Lay me down, take me away. Oh God, I'm so damn tired. When I come back down, oh I'm crazy too. Anything you want from me, I'll do. When I come back down, when I come back down. Come back down.
And there you go, Toto and Sprocket from their album Pale. That song is entitled Come Back Down, the song I've been referencing all throughout the show, so now you know what I'm talking about. And I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Thank you all for hanging in there while I've gone through my trials and tribulations, and I hope you're happy, as I am, to see me back to normal and doing normal internet radio again and being back to my senses and not fucked up out of my head, either on drugs or alcohol. So thank you all for listening. Tune in again next week. I'll try not to let you down, but I can't make any promises. Until then, I want to leave you with a song to commemorate the fact that tonight is the night that I finally, after all these years, came out of the closet. So there you go, yeah. I finally came out as a gay man tonight. So I'm proud of myself for doing that. If nothing else, I'll be here next Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hope you will be too. Hang out in the chat room, visit the website, kdkprankcalls.com. This show will be posted probably tomorrow, after I do the update to the website where you can go and listen to the Mr. Blonde prank calls that I haven't played tonight. And, yeah. So, hopefully I'll see you here next week, my friends. Until then, stay just the way you are. Just the way we like you. Stay proud.